Greetings, Jills and Jacks. Let me tell you how heaven works. If you're married to, no, you're dating with French woman and your chef is from Italy and you're governed by Swiss people and your policeman, or should I say police officer, is from United Kingdom, that it should be described as a heaven on earth. And the similar principle is applied to automotive industry. If you want to move the car very fast, or if you want to record the best lap time, you better find British racing driver and Germany made racing car and on Italian circuit. And this one is the heaven on earth version of automotive industry. And from 2003 to 2009, a British racing team, McLaren, and Germany carmaker Mercedes-Benz Daimler jointly manufactured a McLaren SLR, and SLR is kind of homage to their legendary 300 SLR, and SLR stands for Sport Light Race. And at that time period, there are two other hypercars that compete with each other. The first being Enzo Ferrari from, you guess the name, and Carrera GT, also you can guess from the name. And between the three, I think this SLR McLaren has very little advantage over the two big two, because this one has the least number of cylinder. It has only V8, whilst the others has V10 or V12. The engine capacity or displacement is also the least for this model, and it can generate the least power output. And most critically, this one has just a 5-speed automatic transmission. And I know there are some intricate, very hard to solve problem between McLaren and the legendary car maker Gordon Murray, but the Mercedes-Benz officially disclaimed that this one has 5-speed automatic rather than their 7 or 8-speed AMG dual clutch transmission. Because of the high torque it generates, they have to in order to accommodate that high torque, they had to use 5-speed automatic transmission. And one thing I think this model is very not that desirable is that it has single overhead camshaft, and it has only 3 valves per cylinder, while other two big two have double overhead camshaft and they has 4 valves per cylinder. And I think it's kind of very visceral feeling, because the other two were naturally aspirated, but this one has 5.4 liter AMG made supercharged V8, which can generate 626 PS. And I think that it was kind of Germany made muscle car at the time. But there is also good thing for this McLaren SLR, that the other two, Enzo and Carrera CGT, they don't have any variation. But this SLR McLaren, despite its inferiority, they have some large variation. The first being Roadster version, and they also made special edition in 2006 called 722 edition, and the 722 moniker is from the legendary British Formula One racing driver Stirling Moss, and at that time they drove 300 SLR with their number 72012 because of the event was held at 7:22 a.m. at the Mille Miglia MM in 1955, and that upgraded version of 722 generates 650 PS rather than 626 PS, and that can go not to 62 miles per hour in 3.6 seconds, and that 722 has also roadster version, and that was aimed to compete very ultra high-end luxury roadster. To name a few, Pagani's Zonda F Roadster, or their teammate SL AMG Black Series. And there were also 722 GT for racing model, and at last the last model, and that will never will happen again. Mercedes and McLaren jointly made the last version of McLaren SLR called the Stirling Moss. You know, Stirling Moss, he's ubiquitous in automotive racing history. There, you can't be a petrolhead without being heard of him or his legendary legend. He is from UK. His Sir Stirling Moss is OBE, and he is also an inductee into the International Motorsport Hall of Fame. He was rated at the 29th best Formula One driver of all time. And Stirling Moss, he won 12 of the 9 races. He entered across several countries and competitions, but he was never able to win the world championship. So he has a nickname as the greatest driver never to win the world championship. He works for Mercedes-Benz, Lotus, Maserati, and he died in 2020 from his natural disease. So Maserati, they show their honor, they show their gratefulness for Stirling Moss, so they made MC20, which is successor to MC12. They gave the Maserati Corsa 2020 because the Stirling Moss had passed away in 2020 and 1220, and so this model is very limited product produced. It has been produced from June 2009 to December 2009, and during that period only 75 cars were made, and it was sold very exclusively like Ferrari does. The Ferrari sold FXX only for Ferrari owner. Likewise, this McLaren SLR last special limited version, Stirling Moss was only sold to those who have purchased SLR McLaren, and I think that that factor may contribute to its collectability, and it was above $1 million at that time. And this one, as you can see, it has no wind protection, no, and though it has some air deflector here, you must wear a helmet when you're driving fast, because if not, you may barely open your eyes and you might collide into the corner or into a man or deer with this expensive car. And there is one thing very interesting for me Asian. You know, Enzo Ferrari was designed by Japanese, and the designer's name was Ken Okuyama, and he is heavily influenced by Gundam Real Robot anime series. So when you're looking at Enzo Ferrari automobile, not a person, you may catch a glimpse of a Gundam robot. And this, not SLR, McLaren SLR, but this special Sterling Moss version was designed by Korean designer named Yoon Il-hun, and it's very proud of myself being Asian that this high-end ultra luxury European racing car was designed by Asian, and Asian was not that didn't stand out in racing or sports. But anyway, I feel very proud of this Mr. Yoon for designing the McLaren SLR Sterling Moss Barchetta. This type of configuration that doesn't have windshield, or sometimes they even don't have side mirrors, it is called barchetta, and barchetta is little ship or little boat in Italian. The moniker barchetta was first used by Ferrari 550 barchetta maybe, and since then many automobile makers have been using the word barchetta for their high-end roadster, very peculiar model. To name a few, Aston Martin has made Speedtail, Speedster. I can't remember the exact name, but the Aston Martin give me a second. Thanks Google. Aston Martin Speedster V12, which has been a blueprint for Aston Martin to make a ongoing vintage model design. And there was a Lamborghini Aventador J, and there was 550 Spider, which James Dean once drove it, and there are also Lotus 311, which is barchetta foam, and the last one, a Ferrari 812 Superfast based Monza SP1 and SP2. SP stands for special program maybe, and it is also barchetta. They don't have windshield and they don't have the proper wind protection. So I think I love this barchetta design because as I am a driver as well as I am rider, I'm riding motorcycle. So for me, this barchetta might be a gray zone or in the middle of the hot spot between the safety of the car and the immersing experience of a motorcycle. So I think this kind of barchetta, they are very good for like me, those who drive 6 wheels. And So this Barchetta Stirling Moss, it produced in 2009. The engine was upgraded to produce 660 10 PS more than 722, and its maximum speed was 350 kilometers per hour. And due to its weight reduction, it decrease. It has 1200 kilogram lighter than the regular model, and this go not to 62 miles per hour in 3 flat seconds, which is very fast at the time, 2009. And the history of the actual car ends here, and I will show you the diecast review part. Shall I? As you can see from the intro video, that this Barchetta, they have the side exhaust pipe which was derived from their racing car 300 SLR, and the Mercedes-Benz have frequently used this side exhaust pipe configuration for their special AMG high-end models. And you can see there's a McLaren badge, the inverted Nike badge, and you can see the rivet. They are well replicated in this model. This model is made by Mini Champs, and it's 1:18 scale, and its exterior color is my kind of best color, because McLaren is famous for using their orange color, specifically called the papaya orange. And I'm not 100% sure if the name of this actual color is papaya orange, but anyway, McLaren with orange exterior, with this limited edition Stirling Moss, I think it's very collectible in diecast wise. And one foible of this diecast model, even though it has wonderful butterfly doors, its door can be open. This is what all you can get. Even though the boot space and engine hood can be open, the door, which has maybe 89% of its charm, doesn't open, and it's very shame for Mini Champs. And one thing I want to mention is this center lock wheel like design. They are painted in blue in either side, but the thing is that for racing car, the configuration for left center lock wheel must be printed in red, and the right side of the center lock wheel must painted in blue. But in this car, they are both painted in blue. I don't know why. And one last foible for this diecast and this design is, I think, this tail lamp. The tail lamp looks like very American, like in a bad way. It looks like some maybe cheap model from Chrysler Roadster. It looks very disproportionately angular, maybe. The basic SLR, they have a very voluptuous body design, very luxury, opulent. Everything that is good can be applied to that design, but this too linear tail light, I think it's the most downside of this model, and not downside of this actual car. And you can store the either side of this panel in trunk or boot space. So actually you can make it single seater like that of Ferrari SP1. And if you're dating a woman, and you really don't like her, and you can pretend that this car has only one single seat, and you can selfishly enjoy this luxurious moment of driving Sterling Moss, excluding your partner, pretending that it has only one seat, so you have to go somewhere by public transportation like this. And I think this trick is very attractive for Casanova or player, and it looks much better with one side of that passenger seat covered rather than fully exposed. I don't know why. I love SP1 than SP2. I think if the both sides are exposed, it doesn't look like a car. It looks like hatchet X. But when you cover the passenger side, you can see this is some kind of car that is very specially aimed, programmed car. I think, though I love Barchetta design, especially with passenger seat covered. So this is the end of my diecast review, and this is from the era of golden diecast. It has very good old-fashioned steel made, and it's very heavy, and it feels rock solid when you tap on it. So this side band, it's too flat and it has no drama there. I think the Korean designer, he should have rendered much 3D design, maybe, if he used some volumic design, 3D design. I think it will be much better.